Hello everyone, Hellboy turns 20 years old, and yeah, time flies. Hellboy was released 20 years ago today. Wow, do I feel old. This was something, seeing this on the big screen. I had low expectations for Hellboy. I had no idea that it was based on a Dark Horse comic book. You know, I was barely getting into comics around that time. I read DC. Marvel was beginning to rev up after Blade 1 and 2, X-Men 1 and 2, and we had Spider-Man with Spider-Man 2 about to arrive in a couple of months. To preface, this is based upon the character of Hellboy in the comics created by Mike Mignola. Guillermo del Toro directs this, he also writes it, and he brought Hellboy to life brilliantly. He did Blade 2 before this, and right on the heels of Blade 2, he made Hellboy with Ron Perlman as the title character. And what can I say? This film not only has the style and look of the comics, but the heart of it as well. Something that's kind of missing with recent reboots. Hellboy would later spawn a sequel with The Golden Army, but this film holds a special place in my heart. I recently revisited it, and yeah, it does feel like a 20-year-old movie. There are some things that are a bit dated, but there's something about 90s to early to mid-2000s comic book films. There's something about them and something that they have that modern films no longer have. It's a heart and soul. It's the feeling of like it is a comic book, but not being too silly or just dumbed down. No jokes every 5 minutes like certain films now. It didn't feel as commercial. It felt like there was an artistry to the story. It was made in a different time. Joining Ron Perlman, we have Selma Blair as Liz Sherman. I love the relationship she has with Hellboy and her pyrokinetic abilities. We have Doug Jones as Abe Sapien. Shape of Water before Shape of Water. Like when I saw Shape of Water, I'm like, whoa. Guillermo del Toro is like showing Abe Sapien. Is that Abe Sapien? I thought it was Abe Sapien from Hellboy. We have John Hurt as Trevor Budenholm, and he's like the father figure of Hellboy. In addition to Rupert Evans as John Myers, and I like his character in this. He's the one that the audience can kind of relate to, the protagonist that is introduced to this world. There are also a number of actors you've seen in other properties. Rasputin is played by an actor who is also in Blade 2. He does a great job in this. The effects are done very well. It's a mixture of CGI. Yes, the CG does look dated, but there's a lot of practical effects that are beautiful here. Guillermo del Toro, this early in his career after mimicking Blade 2 and Kronos, show you the masterclass filmmaker he is and is like a hint of what's to come. This movie was just a joy to watch again, and I want to reflect upon it on its 20th anniversary because I still think it holds up today. There's a director's cut that's also out. I have not seen it, but I enjoyed watching the special features and making. There's a making that's actually longer than the movie itself on disc 2 of the DVD. But it was such a surprise. My brother, mother, and father went to go see this, and it completely surprised us. You know, when you go into a movie, you're not expecting much or you don't know what to expect, and you walk out of there and like, I just saw a really good movie. There's so many great moments. Agent Myers talking to Liz, that whole kind of love triangle between the Liz, Hellboy, and John. That stuff was funny. Abe Sapien. The beginning with the Baby Ruth bar. I love the opening here when it starts in World War II. And we get to see the origin of Hellboy. Yes, they did a war photo before Wonder Woman. I love the introduction. It feels so much like a comic book. And then you get moments that are heartfelt with Hellboy not wanting to disappoint his father or disagreeing with him. There's a lot going on with John Hurt in this. He brings this film a level of gravitas. Rasputin opening the gates of hell, Hellboy arriving, and then later on, Rasputin returns with Samael and other biblical creatures to try to open the portals to hell and cause hell on earth. And I have to say, the Hellboy sequences here are just awesome when he gets his horns. There's a lot of references to other stories, like whether it's the Right Hand of Doom, Seeds of Destruction, Pancakes. There's different references to different stories of Hellboy in this one film. And there's a funny moment where Hellboy follows Liz and Myers on their coffee date, and he ends up talking to some kid on a roof, and he's like, wait a second, you're 9 years old. Why am I taking advice from you? There's a funny moment there. And you know, Ron Perlman perfectly conveys that sense of like arrogance and just kind of badassery of Hellboy, you know. He's just like, I'm tough, I know it, I have enough of these monsters, I'm tired of fighting. You know, he just has like a certain attitude and edge about him. And he has the perfect face. I mean, he was literally born to play Hellboy. And I say that, like, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Christopher Reeve as Superman, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, Ron Perlman as Hellboy. He is Hellboy. I love that ninja assassin. He was so creepy and cool. There's just a lot of cool stuff in this movie, even for today's standards. But back in 2004, I'm like, this is awesome. And it does have a very exciting third act. And I have to say, I miss comic book films that were fun. You know, not only did it have a story to tell, but everything else that you want out of a film is included. And it didn't feel forced or contrived, you know. It didn't feel as derivative. It still felt creative. And that's one thing I have to say about Hellboy. Hellboy is one creative film, and just one of my favorite Guillermo del Toro films. You've never seen Hellboy? Check out Hellboy, and also check out Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. Read the comics. The 2019 reboot, while it wasn't perfect, I do respect it for trying to get certain elements from the comics that weren't in the first two. But, oh man, you could definitely see a lot of influence Hellboy 2 had on like Pan's Labyrinth, or Hellboy 1 and 2 had on Shape of Water. Definitely see the certain tropes and similarities with the films with Guillermo del Toro's work. And oh, this is just an iconic film that I wanted to reflect upon on its 20th anniversary. Anybody out there, have you seen Hellboy? Let me know down in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about the sequel. Unfortunately, we never got a Hellboy 3, and that is just a sin in my eyes. If any legacy sequel needs to get made, if possible, we need Hellboy 3. Let Guillermo del Toro finish the trilogy. It was a travesty that he didn't get to do another Blade. Luckily, he did another Hellboy. I want to see it completed, but we shall see what the new reboot will bring. But you just got to appreciate the early 2000s films. It was just of its time, so to speak, and in many ways timeless. Let me know your thoughts on Hellboy. Share your memories of when you first saw Hellboy down in the comments below. In the meantime, you can check out these other videos for more content.